Hi, John. Thanks so much for having a chat with us today. First of all, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit as well so everyone knows about you and what you do?
So, g'day everybody. My name is John Zerella. I'm the Managing Director of AFM Services, a boutique mid-tier practice in Adelaide, providing predominantly specialised advisory services to the SME market. I do have a specialisation in the hair and beauty because I've been working in that industry for quite some time. So, hello.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. As you know, working in this industry, and I suppose in all industries, everyone's really, really suffering at the moment. They can't find staff. They're trying to save costs. Petrol's going to go up again. Electricity's going up. What else is going up? Broccoli or fruit and vegetables. I think everyone... Oh, lettuce is okay. I bought some the other day.
Oh, has that come back?
Yeah, it's come back down. So I think what a lot of salon owners are struggling with is keeping up with their business expenses and with their staff. So a couple of things I'd love to go through with you, if that's okay, is first of all, because it's so competitive in this market, in the hair and beauty industry, there might be like a beauty therapist or a hairdresser might be beginning between, say, $28 and $38 an hour. And that's working on the floor or long hours whereas they could get, a lot of people are now either leaving the industry or doing something different and maybe working in an admin job from 9 to 5 and getting just as good or better money. So what we're trying to do is entice them back into our industries. So can you come up with some creative ideas on what we could do?
Okay, so it's a very common problem that's occurring at the moment. And I think that the issue that we're currently experiencing will be short-lived. Nevertheless, I think with rising costs, I think that we will, and sort of the introduction of international borders will start to ease the pressure off the employment market. However, I think the issues that are currently being faced, some of them will be with us forever and does require some sort of creative thinking in order to provide some solutions. So I think when you look at, in particular, the issues with employment, you generally find that people are motivated in the short term by money. But ultimately, it doesn't, if they are not satisfied or finding fulfillment in their role, then they will simply gravitate back to those things that do provide them with fulfillment. However, that doesn't relieve the immediate problem where people are, flocking to different industries, because we have this enormous push and pull at the moment where with such huge forces in the employment industry, they're grabbing people everywhere. And like you say, people coming out of sort of the hair and beauty and a creative industry going into administration simply because there's this perceived difference there that together with probably increased pay rates, there's this perceived idea there that life is going to be better in a sort of 9 to 5 role. So I have found that we do need to, in addition to providing some monetary stimulus, I mean, no matter how wonderful you make your place of employment, ultimately you must be within the market because that will simply erode people's ability to stay there. So what I mean by saying that is that you need to be within the market in terms of what people are paying. You don't have to be the highest payer, and so the gap between what is the norm and whether it be, and there's not, believe it or not, there's not a huge difference between the administration codes the hair and beauty in terms of pay rates. But where we need to provide value is in other areas. So, really good working conditions, a really good culture, and I'll come back to that in a moment.
Yeah.
Other ways of incentivizing staff, which don't necessarily mean direct, monetary rewards or monetary rewards in different ways. I think as human beings, we want to be acknowledged and valued, and I think is more important than sort of any money in the world. So you can go to a job that's paying you twice as much as what you're currently being paid, but if the environment, the culture is toxic, you'll simply not stay there, and you'll find the benefits of that additional money will quickly be eroded away, and people realise that they much prefer to be in a place where they want to work. So let me just make a quick comment about culture. So culture is absolutely key to everything in relation to your work environment. Everybody's culture is different, and as a business owner, you must clearly define what your culture is, your belief system, and align yourself with employees who have similar cultural alignment and belief systems. And if it's a cool and happy environment for you as the business owner to work, by ratcheting that up, amplifying that, it should also be a cool and really good working environment for employees.
I agree. I suppose, sorry to cut you off, I suppose what we're hearing at the moment is it's very competitive, especially for senior hairdressers. So a lot of people are panicking about money. They don't see the big picture. So, they watch the news in the media and it's all doom and gloom. So they want to either stay working from their home salon, or they want to stay where they are, or they want to go and work in an admin, which is just 9 to 5. So they're not working long hours on the floor, bending over, hurting their backs, listening to everyone's problems. So I suppose it's enticing them a little bit with the great culture and everything like that. But I suppose if we can alleviate their hesitancy and their fear about, everything going up and interest rates going up. So people are looking at money a little bit as well. So that's probably why I'm focusing on adding that in. And I know ultimately that, a passionate senior hairdresser or a beauty therapist who is quite creative is not going to stay in an admin role unless it's quite fulfilling. So this is what I always ask our salon owners, apart from, if you're a candidate, why would you want to work for you and your salon? Is adding as many enticements as possible, as you were talking about before, the great culture, the great working environment. John, could you please, I think my accountant, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about this, is said that you can give your employees on an irregular basis, every 3 months or whatever, a gift voucher of up to $300, and it's a tax deduction. Is that true?
Correct. Yes, that is correct. So it would always be a tax deduction. The issue remains about FBT, fringe benefits tax. So there's various limits that you cannot reach, but there are some things that are exempt from FBT. A lot of those are electronic equipment, so things like phones, times iPads. So you can provide them with, you can provide your staff members with a phone annually, an iPad, or rotating that sort of process. If that's part of the package, the business owner gets it as a deduction. It becomes an incentive to the employee, and there's no fringe benefits tax associated with the provision of that item.
Okay, so it's got to be electronics. You can't give them a voucher to go and get their hair done or something. The voucher is fine.
Sorry, the voucher is fine. So I'm saying electronic equipment is unlimited, whereas you have a $2,000 limit annually that you can provide. So that's where he's got the figure of $300 per quarter, being $1,200 that you can provide to your clients, which will not attract, and that can be anything basically.
So that can be vouchers.
could be anything you like. If it's being provided to the employee, there's a direct nexus to as part of their engagement. So first of all, it's a tax deduction to the employee. And it will not attract to the employer, and it will not attract FBT.
So what in regards to electrical equipment, there's no limit, or is that still the same?
No, there's no limit with electrical, but there's certain devices that it's in relation to those sorts of things. Laptop. Okay. So when I say, I think iPhones would be part of that. Telephone. Mobile phones, laptops, iPads, computers. You can breach those limits.
All right. No, see, that's great. And as an employer trying to attract someone or keep your staff happy, because losing your staff costs you a fortune, as we all know. So, it's a bit, I always put it down. I used to have a dating agency and a relationship agency, and I always akin it to finding staff is like dating. And then having a relationship with them, because we are having a business and a personal relationship with our team members is like everyone else. So we've got to find them, then we've got to look after them. So, and if we can do it and it's a tax deduction as well, that's even better. So whether they might want to do petrol allowance, pay their parking, all these things as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's only limited to your own creativity, and the best place to start is actually to talk to the employee. What are the things that would make their job more enjoyable that don't necessarily relate to monetary things? So, for example, different working conditions, having a certain day off as opposed to working those sort of long hours, starting at slightly different times and finishing at different times. And of course, this can vary, but depending on the life cycle of the individual as well, whether they have young children or whether their children are no longer at home where they want to do more work. So I think you need to have a detailed discussion with each employee. It's not one size fits all, because different things motivate different people. But the key point that you said about the relationship, and you can only have a valuable relationship with somebody who's culturally aligned with you, has the same sort of belief system and thought system. No amount of creativity will establish a long-lasting relationship if somebody's on a completely different wavelength to you.
I agree. And they're not flexible, and they can't work with other team members, and it's like another family, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's our work family, so we've got to learn that we've got different personalities, and communicating, teaching people communication skills, inducting them into the business, training them. These are important things. Otherwise, people can go off on their own different paths, and that's life as well.
Yeah, I think people can make them more complicated than what they are. If we think about the basic goodness in life, just treat people as you would like to be treated yourself, and open, candid communication at all times. And I think you can generally navigate through most things. Perception is can be a terrible thing. People can sort of perceive things that are happening which aren't. And that's generally a result of non-communication. So if simple basic rules, treat people as you would want to be treated yourself, continue open communication, and generally you can navigate through most things.
I agree. And listening, like really listening and caring are really important as well. I think if you, as you said before, treat people, really respect them, be kind, be considerate, and find out what actually is important to them. So, they might love once a month off to go and have a weekend away or a long weekend, or, spoil them as well if you value them. And they'll probably stay along with you.
Employees want to be heard, they want to be valued, they want to be recognised that they do form part of the success of the organisation, and sometimes it's just validating that, letting them know that can be worth more than any money. And I think what you said was also key, having compassion and caring, and needs to be genuine. If it doesn't come from within, people will generally see through you. So if you genuinely care for your employees, and whatever it is that you're saying or doing comes from that place of genuine care, then generally, employees or team members will feel that genuine caring for them.
Yeah, I mean, and people can pick up if you're genuine or not too, John.
Absolutely. The proverbial.
Yeah, it's like these cult leaders that get on the stage and it's all rah, rah, rah. It's just, people can pick up on that sort of stuff. So, yeah. So any other wise words of wisdom for our salon owners?
I guess the other thing to sort of counter combat what's happening with the expenses, I just made that line. People need to have, or business owners need to have, a serious look at their expenses to be able to reevaluate what they're now charging.
Yes.
It is important to understand the impact of some of the costs that have escalated over the last 12 or 18 months, in particular over the last 12 months, and appropriately increase their prices to at least cover for that.
Yes.
And I know it's a difficult environment because average person is getting bombarded from left, right and centre, the cost of food, the cost of petrol, the cost of utilities, all seem to be going up. But I think, as difficult as it is, people are more understanding, and I think you need to be open to customers saying, "Hey, listen, my costs have escalated, and for me to continue to be around, for me to be able to continue to provide this wonderful service, for you to be able to continue to see me and get this service from me, I simply need to increase my prices so that I can continue to be a viable business." And most people can understand that.
Of course. I mean, doesn't it go up, CPI go up 5 or 10% a year or something like that? Or is that overinflated?
CPI over the last 10 years has only been hovering around 2.5%. It's gone up by 5%. It feels like, and CPI is a difficult number because it's an average number that's been calculated in quite a complex way. But the reality is, especially over the last 12 months, while CPI has only gone up, well, when I say only, it's quite high, about 5.5%, the real increases to people is significantly more. Remember, 5.5 is a national average, taking into consideration a whole group of goods. But in actual fact, you'll find the real rate of increase has been significantly more.
Wow. So just one other thing I wanted to ask you, John, is I suppose it's hard to predict, but I'd love to know your thoughts on what you think the interest rates are going to do over the next 12 months.
I don't think you need to be. No, I don't think you need to be Houdini. In most instances, you would be very reluctant to sort of quote on things of that nature, but I can quote with enormous certainty that interest rates this time next year will be between 1.5 and 2% higher than what they are at the moment. Higher than what they are at the moment. Yes.
Would they go down again, do you think?
I think so. Remember, the rate of interest rate increases is a mechanism by the Reserve Bank to taper or to reduce the rate of inflation. So they deliberately make life hard for the economy to sort of soften or reduce the rate of increases that we're currently experiencing. And so sometimes it's a very difficult concept to understand, to think, okay, all our costs are increasing. Why would the Reserve Bank now, increase the burden on
I know.
us?
Drive us crazy. Yeah.
because it's a indirect mechanism where the mums and dads of the world get affected, but it's meant to slow the economy back down to a normal level. So yes, interest rates will come down, and I think that we now live in an economic environment where the fluctuations of volatility can be violent. So 20 years ago, things sort of went up slowly and they came down slowly, but we're living in a much more rapidly evolving, exponentially evolving world, that things volatility is more violent. So interest rates will go up very, very steeply, and I think they will come down quite steeply. Well, we need to probably look to 2024 and beyond before things will start to taper off. My advice is for the next 12 months to batten down the hatches.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I hate to provide doom, but I think those who plan for it will be better situated as a result.
Thank you so much for that. And I hope that helps a lot of people as well. I mean, we can give up a couple of cups of coffee a day and, cut down and be a bit sensible. And, I understand there's an old saying, I think it's, if you don't manage your money will manage you. And,
yeah, that's right.
So in just wrapping up, John, I could talk to you all day because I find you very fascinating. Maybe we'll have to do another Zoom call.
Sure.
If any of our salon owners want to get in contact with you directly, how can they get in contact with you? Because I know how brilliant you are and how much you can help people. How can they get in contact with you apart from calling me or contacting me, and I'll put them onto you? How else can they get hold of you?
So ultimately, the best way is to actually contact us via the office. There is also, and our number is 0883634499. Alternatively, directly to our website, www.afmservices.com.au, which has contact details. It also has a direct booking system as well. So they can identify the time that suits them and do it electronically as well.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you have a lovely day off tomorrow. And I hope we can chat again and come up with some different ideas.
Love to. So thanks very much for having me.
My pleasure. Have a wonderful day.